This is the biggest battery test we have ever done, with 7 of the world's best flagship phones all competing for the title of phone buff style battery champ. Where we have the only non-Android phone in the iPhone 17 Pro Max, there's Samsung's all-new Galaxy S26 Ultra, we have Google's Pixel 10 Pro XL with its custom Tensor G5, there's the OnePlus 15 and its giant silicon carbon battery, the current champ in the Oppo Find X9 Pro, the global version of the Honor Magic 8 Pro, and the brand that won it all last time we did this in the Vivo X300 Pro, making 7 phones, 4 completely different chipsets, with room for only one champ. Let's get right into it. Alright, we'll kick things off in the phone test, where each of the 7 devices is going on the same 1-hour call, where 60 minutes later, 3 of them are still reporting 100%, while the other 4 only fell by a point or 2. But we'll see what happens here in messaging, where the phones are texting back and forth with our automated chatbot. Now, it's worth noting that we calibrate all of the screens to the same 200 nits of brightness, and all phones are also within equal distance of the mini cell tower in our lab, where after an hour of texting later, wow, the Vivo is still somehow at 98%, putting it clearly out in front, while the iPhone, the Galaxy, and the Pixel fall into the last 3 slots. Now, I don't want to read into the percentages too much here since they aren't the most accurate early on, and I think we'll get a much clearer picture as the test progresses. However, one thing I do want to mention real quick is while we calibrate the screen brightness on each phone, that doesn't mean that these displays are equal. They have different resolutions, with the Galaxy, the Pixel, and the iPhone actually having the highest pixel counts, and they also have different screen sizes or screen areas, with the iPhone and the Galaxy also having the biggest screens when you factor in their aspect ratios. But after an hour of email, there wasn't too big of a difference. The OnePlus did do the best though, with it closing in on the Vivo for that spot in first. But it's this browser test that I always find the most interesting, since it's the first time that we're really taxing the CPUs, with us randomly loading the same set of websites and then also scrolling through them. Where 60 minutes later, wow, the OnePlus 15 does the best again, not just in terms of raw percentage strain, which you'd expect with a phone with a big battery, but even in terms of estimated milliamp hour usage, which was enough for it to take the lead in first. The Vivo falls into second, the Find X9 Pro is right there behind it in third, while the Honor is only 2 points behind the Oppo in fourth. Here on Instagram, we're scrolling through the home feed with us also pausing in between those scrolls, just like you would in real life, which should translate into the more optimized phones, ramping the refresh rates down during those pauses in order to save on battery. And 1 hour later, okay, some interesting results. The OnePlus and the iPhone do the best in terms of raw percentage strain, with the iPhone and Galaxy actually being the most efficient in terms of estimated milliamp hour usage. Of course, with their smaller batteries though, that still ties them for 5th here, with only the Pixel doing worse at this point. But we'll see if that efficiency can carry over here to standby, where we turn off the displays and just let the phone sit there for 16 hours straight. That said though, the phones are still connected to the network through Wi-Fi and cellular, so the screens being off doesn't mean that there isn't any activity going on in the background. And oh man, the iPhone actually ended up doing the worst this time, both in terms of raw percentage strain and even in milliamp hour usage, with the OnePlus and the Honor actually doing the best in that department. But we'll see if the iPhone can recover here in YouTube, where in addition to calibrating the screens to the same 200 nits of brightness, we also calibrate the speakers to the nearest decibel count, which, you know, while it doesn't account for speaker quality, with some of these phones having better speaker systems than others, it does at least control for loudness, where after an hour of binge watching some phone buff, the OnePlus only trains by 5 points